Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to make some tips for new players who haven't played the beta or haven't played the game at all. Just a couple of my recommendations. First of all, don't rush the game. The game's a beautiful, amazing looking game. Take your time. There's a lot of YouTube videos on how to level up quickly, how to get the best guns, how to, that's just going to ruin it for you. Take your time, enjoy it, take it all in. Don't rush. There's really no need to do that. You don't need to be the highest level. You don't need to. If you want to have a build and you just want to do PvP and nothing else, then by all means go ahead. But don't listen to these YouTubers that say you need to level up. You really don't. So take your time, go and explore, go build your camp, find a nice spot for your camp. Go find new things. So that's number one. Number two, and probably the most important thing is the Atom shop. So as you guys probably know, there is this atomic shop that allows you to buy some really cool stuff. But in order to, now you don't need to use real money for this. You can earn in-game rewards to do this. I'm going to show you what you need to do. If you really want to go and buy it with real money, then that's up to you. But you really don't need to spend a single dollar on this above the game itself, right? But there's some really cool stuff that you can actually buy. But as you can see, they're quite pricey, and it takes time to buy the stuff. So don't rush. Again, you don't have to have everything day one. You don't have to have all the cool stuff straight away. Just relax, enjoy yourself. And over time you'll collect this. So do events, do collect materials, things like that, right? So just going one back, you'll notice there is a challenges menu. The way I got here on Xbox One is I go to the map, I hit my left button, top left hand corner, you'll see LB menu. It might be different for your platform. Go down to challenges, and you'll notice you'll get daily and weekly challenges. Now these are important because the daily ones, as you can see, only last for a day. So all these challenges will end in 17 hours for me, and your weekly ones will end in, depending when they start, for me are going to end in 5 days and 17 hours. Now some of these weekly ones are a little bit harder. I mean, claiming a workshop, that's not too bad. Complete events or quests while in a group, that might be tricky to do if you're playing solo. But if you're in a group, then obviously go ahead and do 10 events. That'll net you 30 atoms. Building supplies, scrapping junk. So you're going to be scrapping a lot of stuff. Your limit on carrying stuff and putting stuff in your stash is very limited. I do still recommend you carry stuff, but you're going to have to throw a lot of it away. You just won't have enough room in your stash. At the moment it's 400 pounds, and they're working on increasing it hopefully, but it's extremely limited. Expect yourself to be walking encumbered the whole time. That's pretty much what I do. Even if you didn't carry any junk, you're still going to be picking up weapons and stuff that you'd like to keep or put in your stash. But anyway, as you can look here, if you look at this one, scrap junk to produce aluminum, you got to do sort of 16 out of 25. So these will come naturally as you're collecting materials, going around collecting stuff, scrapping it, things like that. I'll show you how to scrap it in a little bit, but just keep on doing that. Go around and collecting wood. Every tree in the forest that's on the ground that's fallen down has wood. You're going to need wood to cook stuff, cook food. It's a survival game. You're going to get rats. You're going to get hungry. You can get thirsty. Things like that. So just go collect everything, but just realize you're probably going to have to get rid of the stuff. It's unfortunate. Hopefully they'll fix it, and we'll have much larger stashes, and we don't have to get rid of everything or anything. But we'll see what happens, right? Scrapping junk to produce fertilizer, that's finding bags of fertilizer and then scrapping it, things like that. So that'll take time. Focus on your daily stuff. These are a lot easier to do. Craft or scrap a piece of chest armor, very easy. You get 10 atoms for that. I mean, they're less atoms, but if you do these every day, then eventually you'll be able to build up enough atoms to buy a object, and then you just set a goal for your next object, and you just keep on doing that, right? Level up, very easy to do. Rank up a perk card, relatively easy to do. So these daily ones are really definitely ones you want to do and complete. The weekly ones you want to focus on, and then you've got a whole bunch of other ones which aren't time-based, which ultimately you will just naturally do the stuff, right? Reach level 20, so eventually you'll get this. So these guys are just, you know, very easy to do. Eventually explore Appalachia in 76 hours, so eventually when you spend 76 hours. So don't worry about the rest of the stuff, they'll just come naturally, but if you wanted to focus on some of them, you can. But definitely do your daily and try and do your weekly if it's feasible for you, because you do want to get those items. Do events, you get items for events as well and things like that. So you know, try and do that. So that's probably the most important one. Otherwise, you know, enjoy the game. You know, don't feel rushed. Don't feel, you know, that you have to have, you know, the latest and greatest. There's a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool weapons. There's a lot of cool things to do. There's loads of quests. There's hundreds and hundreds of places to explore. So let's get started. So the first thing, when you come out the vault, we're going to head over there in a little bit. There's a body just over there that we're going to get. We're going to go to over there. We'll come back there in a bit. All these things, these flowers, just pick them up. You'll be able to make tea and sort of healing medicine. So just grab those. But you're going to have to watch your weight. If you don't want to walk around incumbent, I'm always incumbent, so I just don't know if it's even possible not to be incumbent, right? So you want to come down here. So one of the cool things, if you want to do, is you can pop these balloons. They are poppable for fun, because why not? There's a log right here, so if you see these logs, you're going to see these all over the forest. Whenever you see a log, just walk up to it. It's going to, I've already collected wood from this guy, but it's going to say collect some wood. Like this guy, it's going to say log gather, and you want to gather some wood, because you're going to need that food for cooking. But you might want to limit yourself. But one of the rewards, of course, is collecting a lot of wood, like 700 pieces of wood. So you're going to want to do that anyway. Now, the first thing, you come down the second set of stairs, is you're going to see this body, and more than likely it's going to have a machete. So you want to grab that machete from this guy. Hopefully he has some sort of weapon for you. We're going to come back this way, so don't go further down. Just grab that machete and let's head on back. And I'm going to show you why. There's a lot of loot up here that's going to be of interest to you. This is one of the hats for the Tricentennial Edition. It's pretty cool, kind of funny. So if you got those, you can get that at the Atomic Store. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to head back this way. This guy's going to have a gun for you and some loot. So again, I've probably already looted this guy, but there should be a pipe, pistol, maybe some ammo in there, things like that. You want to come down here, and the reason why you want to get that machete is there's a lot of liberators here, but they're low-level liberators. Now, remember this, because one of the tasks for dailies is to kill liberators. So later on, when you get a liberator task, and you have to kill 5 liberators or 5 robots, 10 robots, come back here, because these guys are super easy to kill. They're right here, quite easy to get your 5 kills without even trying. Now there's a whole bunch of loot around here, so you want to kind of look around. There's some loot in the bus. There's going to be some medical kits in the bus. I'll talk a little bit about perk cards as well. I'm not going to get into perk cards, but I'll tell you one of the most, or a couple of the most perk cards. One of them is the farmer perk card. Why don't we take a look there quick? So I'm not going to get into what you want to build or how you want to do it, but one of the most important perk cards you want to get is the farmer perk card. Now this guy will allow you to collect chems like stim packs and radiation, radaway, things like that. Very important. Very important to collect that stuff, because you are going to get sick. You are going to need stim packs. Don't use your stim packs because they are fairly rare. But when you come and you find a medical aid kit like this guy, you're going to see there'll be some stim packs in there maybe. But there's also going to be another option there to search the box. So if you have farmer, it's going to allow you to search for additional stim packs and right away out of pure luck. So try and upgrade that to level 3 as soon as possible. That's probably the number 1 that you want to do. And then there's a whole bunch of loot around here that you can actually grab. Okay, so we're going to head down a little bit more because there's some more loot down here. There's some more liberators down here as well. Just go ahead and kill these guys. Again, you can pick up the steel. You don't have to pick up the propaganda flyer, but still scrap it and then maybe dump it or put it in your stash. And then at some point when you maxed out your stash, you're gonna have to. But you don't want to scrap it because it'll earn towards your rewards, right? And yeah, there's a bunch of ammo boxes. Grab those ammo out there. Again, ammo does weigh some weight. That it's not super heavy, but once you have a lot of ammo like me, it does start weighing you down. Okay, some more cases, suitcases. Now, when you look at various places, you're going to find plans. You want to grab these plans because they're going to help you build stuff later on in the game. They're going to be random. Some of them are going to be in the quest. It's important to do all the earlier quests because you're going to get stuff like water purifiers. You're going to need those water purifiers later on. So take care of these guys quickly, so they're not shooting me. These guys do respawn over and over. So the plans will help you build water purifiers, stuff for your camp. They're very random. I'm trying to make a list of where I find various plans. Like this guy is wooden shack doors. I haven't seen that. I've been here to this location quite a few times and I haven't seen a plan. So it's extremely random where these guys actually show up. But if they show up now, they might show up later. Picture of that. Now the other thing about plans is even though you pick them up, you have to read those plans. So if you go to your notes section, you'll notice, let's go see if we can find that plan. You'll see that we have a plan for a bunch of stuff here. But let's find that wooden shack doors. That's the one I've just picked up. You want to click on that and it's going to say crafting unlocked. If you do not click on it, it's not going to unlock it. When you find more than one of the same plan, it's not going to allow you to click on it. So if you do click on these guys, because I've already found them before, they're not going to read them again. You can actually give these to other players, trade them. You might be able to sell them at vendors. Selling this game is a little tedious because most of the vendors are always out of caps because people are grinding caps, and when you go to a vendor, then they're all gone. Okay, so grab all the loot here, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and once you've done that, then you can actually, just one more stop here, go into this bus here. It's probably going to be some health packs. Sometimes you'll find stim packs in these guys, very important in your early journey. You want to just grab those. There's a duffel bag, some ammo, some other stuff here, right? Now, like I said, try not to use your stim packs. My recommendation is you'll get a whole bunch initially at the vault, like 5 or 6 or maybe even more than that. I recommend you build a camp straight away and you store your stim packs in your camp. That way you won't use them by mistake. Unfortunately, what they do is they put them on, there you go, just like I did. They put them on your right D-pad button if you're playing on console or Xbox, and then you mistakenly just use a stim pack unnecessary. So that's just a complete waste of that stim pack that I just used. So, okay, so once you've done that, you've grabbed all that loot, we're going to head back down here, and I'm going to show you a couple of things in this area that you will find useful. Straight off the bat, there's a couple of enemies down here, so you can grab some stuff from them after you kill them. There's also a bed down here, so if you need to sleep, just in regards to sleeping, they recommend, part of the game mechanics is that you should sleep every day. and you should play a musical instrument every day, and that'll help with your health in the game. I find it hard to do the instrument just because it takes time, but read up on that. There is a mechanic that tells you the benefits of playing a musical instrument. You will find musical instruments around the landscape. There's a whole bunch at the airport, and then you'll find them at other odd locations, just randomly sitting there. And you can also either buy a plan or you can find the plan. Buying the plans for musical instruments are quite expensive. I think they're like 800 caps or something silly. But you can eventually probably buy a plan and put one at your camp and then play music. So we're going to head down here quickly. There's a little shack I'm going to show you. Like all these wood piles, you'll find these wood piles that look like this at the lumber mill. You'll find them at the back of houses, in houses. Grab them. You'll use them for food. There's a bed in here. There's some items here. You can grab the metal bucket. There's going to be some. Now all of these containers will be random. So if you're playing with a friend, whatever you get doesn't mean he'll get the same. He'll get something different. That's okay. It's all going to be random in the thing. If it's outside, like on the floor, like the metal bucket, whoever grabs it first will get it, and it's gone. Or if you're playing separately, or if you're playing solo, you'll be able to grab it. So let's just do some cooking here quickly. So you want to make yourself some food as quick as you can. These are all recipes that I found. You probably have some default ones. Boiled water you can just grab from any river, and you can boil water. Purified water is really difficult to come by, so you want to go and do the earlier overseer quests as quick as you can. You'll get 2 water purifiers, at least 1 in the earlier missions. You want to build that at your camp, and then you can actually make purified water at your camp. But otherwise, most of the time I drink boiled water. I take rads, and I just have to keep on taking rads. Now, each one of these has recipes. On the right, you'll see if you're making this simple soup flower tea, you need boiled water, you need soup flour, which is all over. Those are those blue flowers you see everywhere, and you need some wood there, right? So you just craft it. This will give you some drinking, and you're gonna need a lot of different things to drink, and some of them will give you health benefits. Other things will do strength and things like that. So. You'll get into. I'm not going to get into that too much. Just know that you're going to need to craft food and cook food and drink. It is a survival game, so go ahead and do that. And for food, same thing is as you find food, you can find different recipes. You will have a bunch of default ones, and you'll be able to anything you kill, you should be able to cook. So that could be mole rats, it could be stag rays, or whatever you find. So just kind of like Fallout 4, if you guys are familiar. Okay, so once you've got that and you've got your wood, there's some stuff upstairs here as well. I found some stim packs earlier, so you might be able to get those stim packs. Like I said, try not to use your stim packs. Put them in your camp as soon as possible, and that way you will. So this is one of the musical instruments you can actually play. Like I said, there's a mechanic, and you do it for I don't know how long. I think you have to do it for like a minute a day or something, something like that. That's one of the musical instruments. There's guitars, there's pianos, there's banjos. And it's all geared towards your health to make you healthier and content and stuff. I forget the actual name for it. Okay, so as you can see, you'll see this is what I'm talking about, the farmer perk. You'll notice I can see mentats, but also you can see at the bottom I can search the box. So a lot of times people don't realize they come in, they grab the mentats, and then they run off and they don't realize. And I did this for many times before I actually was told about it. But you come back here and you want to search the box, and sometimes you will get lucky. in this case, there you go. So I've just got some free red away, which I wouldn't have got other than if I didn't do that search. And red away is going to be very important. Stim packs are going to be very important. Okay, there's a duffel bag right there. So that's stuff. Now we're going to head sort of this direction over here. Must have come from the item store. What a cool backpack there. So like I say, you're going to see all these logs in the forest. Just walk up to them, you can grab them. But we're going to head this way. There's a little shack just over here. It's called the Moonshiner Shack. We're going to head to that Moonshiner Shack. There's all these animals you're going to be able to kill for food. So grab these whenever you see an animal. We went to... Okay, these are these suit flowers to make suit tea when you eventually find the recipe. Now everything's going to want to kill you in over here, so there's going to be some really dangerous areas. So let me just cover that quickly. So if we look at the map, you'll find most of the central map is pretty easy. That's where a lot of people hang out. But once you start venturing to kind of the east, these areas, yeah, it gets extremely difficult. Now you can level up if you go to these areas and shoot high level enemies. I recommend you just follow the quest. The quests are going to be done. Yeah, you'll find there's a lot of people down there. You know, there's going to be events at the airport. So your first stop is going to be the Overseer's Camp, which is just over here. So you'll find a lot of people hanging out there. Head over there. Here's a vault sort of at the top. You kind of head down there. You want to go to the Overseer's Camp. You're going to find some plans for beds. You're going to get a whole bunch of free stuff. They'll give you some water, things like that. So it's worth your while going there. Once you've done that, you're going to kind of head down to kind of Flatwoods. There's a bunch of missions. There's some vendors. There's some basic tutorials. Some of the earlier missions are just tutorials how to boil water and things like that. Stuff that I've already covered, but it'll give you more in-depth detail. So definitely do those. And then you're going to get some stuff. In terms of water purifiers, your first water purifier is going to come from this horseshoe-shaped building here. So again, if you follow the quest, it'll lead you right here. But if you wanted to go directly there because you wanted a water purifier at the gate, there's one over there. You can just grab it. There's a second water purifier at this guy here, Camp McClintock. So you might want to do that. But again, it's going to depend on the level of enemies. There are some high level enemies kind of around here. There's kind of just in front there, there's kind of like a creek or like a kind of a hole that you can walk in, and there's some high level enemies. So just take your time, follow the quests, and you'll be fine, right? So, but let's head over to this this little shack here. There's a bunch of stuff here that you're going to be interested. There's a bunch of workstations. There's a whole bunch of loot. There is going to be some enemies here, some low level ticks. With your machete, you shouldn't have a problem taking those guys out. And then you can collect some loot. Now, stuff does respawn, so if you return to an area later on, you'll get new stuff. If you return too quickly, then it'll take a while for you to actually, for them to respawn. So there's a med box here again, and stuff here that you can collect. There's a camp station. So if you craft, just one thing to note, if you carry too much food on you, your food will spoil. You want to come down here once your food does spoil to smelting. When you find different ore like iron ore and things like this, you can actually melt them down. If you have rotten or spoiled food, you can actually, as you can see on the right there, it says spoiled vegetables. So I have a whole bunch of spoiled vegetables on me because I didn't eat them. But you can actually turn these into fertilizer. That's how you do that. You can actually craft healing stuff. You will need to find a plan to dilute stim packs, dilute red away. As you can see, I don't have the red away stim pack because I haven't done the missions. Like I said, do the quest. You'll get the missions, and then you can actually dilute your red away, which is important because again, red away and stim packs are kind of rare. But once you have the farm, it becomes a lot easier, right? So that's one of the workstations. Other workstation that you will find here is there's a cooking station here as well. but there's also an armor bench. So if you're looking to just like modify your armor, they're going to be spread out all over, so don't worry, you'll find them all over. In terms of scrapping items, so when you pick up a whole bunch of stuff, all your junk can't be used. You can't put it in your camp, you can't save it like you could in Fallout 4. You just have to scrap it. So you want to come to one of these workbenches, so any one of these, whether it's a power armor station, the chem station, the armor bench, the weapon workbench, and you want to hit X or whatever your appropriate key is, and we are going to scrap. And you just want to say scrap all your junk. That will allow you to lower your weight that you're carrying. Once it's scrapped, it lowers the weight, and then you can actually turn it. If you find something called a tinker workbench, if you want to try and sell it to a vendor, then you find a tinker's workbench and you can create bulk items. And the bulk just takes your current scrap and turns it into kind of like a package, and it allows you to sell it to your vendors. Without creating a bulk item, you won't be able to sell it. I don't even bother, to be honest, because most of the time I go to these vendors and they're out. There's also some taters here, some food, some free food. So if you want to kind of head back here now and then, you'll be able to get some free stuff. So there's kind of interesting locations. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the table here, so don't miss out on that. So it's in terms of camps and stuff, it's quite difficult to build. Everything's kind of on a downhill. But why don't we talk a little bit about camps? I think I'm probably going to call it. That'll probably be the last thing I will talk about. But I'll show you one flat piece of area. We're gonna go to the lumber mill here. There's a lot of wood here. There's a lot of blood ticks here. So blood's important because they have these blood packs that'll help you with your health. So if you come here, there's a whole bunch of food. There's Ragstag as well, which is, if you are encumbered, Ragstag's really good for. It gives you some additional strength. So a lot of Ragstag spawn there at the lumber mill. It also has some of the flattest ground around, but it's not quite flat. There's got a lot of good areas to actually build at. There's a lot of mineral areas as well. I recommend you either build near some water, so you can have some water purifiers, but that's not really necessary if you've got water pumps, because water pumps fit in dirt. But for instance, you could, if you wanted to build a place here right over this water and put some water purifiers here, this will make kind of a nice campground, for instance. But there's a lot of locations all over the map that you'll find some really beautiful spots. There's stuff by the lighthouse that overlooks the lighthouse, some nice views and stuff. But there's also stuff called mineral deposits that you'll find. You'll find these holes in the ground that will have iron ore in that. So if you build your camp near a mineral deposit, you'll be able to build something called a harvester. And that harvester will allow you to mine those mineral deposits, kind of like the workshops in a way. Like I said, there's a ton of wood here. Just look around, you always see these guys. You can collect wood. There's a whole bunch of loot inside here, so go ahead in there. There's a whole bunch of wood. And here's a tinker station. Let me show you the tinker station quick. So if you go to the tinker station and craft, you'll see there's something called bulk. If you go down here and you create bulk acid, at the moment I can't actually sell the acid, but if you create something called bulk acid, it will use 2 of your plastic. So you need plastic because it wraps it up, and then you'll create a bulk acid. So it also gives you some XP, so I recommend you still do this. It gives you a little bit of XP, even if you're not planning to sell the stuff. You know, it'll help you level up a little bit. So I would do this. It's going to do it until I run out of plastic. Plastic's a little bit hard to come by, but if you find some dog dishes and various things, then whenever you find plastic and whenever you see a tinker station, just go create some bulk items. It's supposed to reduce your weight, but it really doesn't. Some people say the lead reduces or the aluminum does, but it's not a weight reducer. It's really just to sell to, allows you to bulk it and package it, so you can sell to vendors to make caps, because caps are pretty difficult to make in the game. So I would do that anyway. You can actually make ammo here as well. So when you find gunpowder, you need lead and steel. You can make your own rounds. It's much easier to, if you're looking for have a specific weapon, it's much easier just to make ammo versus finding it. But ammo is very abundant. You can find it everywhere around, so don't worry about that, especially if you're using 308. They're just like literally everywhere. I have so much ammo, I just don't know what to do with it, right? So ammo's not a problem. Now if you're using automatic weapons that spurts out, you know, loads of ammo at the same time, then you're probably going to need to buy. So this is that flat piece of ground. Like I say, Ragstag spawn here. I've seen beaver spawn here. So you can find food here and meat. Oh, there we go. Beavers don't really give, I don't think, give you wood scraps. They don't really give you food. Running faster than I am. So much for that fence, eh? Now there is a lot of scorch in these buildings, but let me show you some other stuff that's kind of cool about this area. Now these guys with the king crown on top of their name, they mean they kind of the leader of the pack. You want to kill these guys first. One, because they will have a lot of loot on them. As you can see, he's got like a whole bunch of punching rifles. You want to kill all these scorch, and you want to grab all their weapons, because you can actually get mods from weapons. So whenever you see a gun, they're very important, but you pretty much want to scrap all the guns, because you will get mods from those guns. So grab everything you can, and then head over here to either weapons. This guy here, quick. So this place is a nice spot because it actually spawns fertilizer. So if you're looking for fertilizer, come to this area. I've already taken it, so I can't show you, but there's generally 6 bags of stuff here. The guy is looking all these boxes. You'll find stuff here. So as I mentioned, that one guy that we saw with the crown, what happens is if you don't kill him, he's able to spawn enemies and continuously spawn enemies. So you want to take out the leader first, otherwise they'll just keep on doing horde where they just keep on coming, right? So yes, a tinker bench. We're going to scrap those items, but let me actually show you the weapon stuff. So whenever you scrap weapons, so you saw that guy had a whole whack of weapons on them. So keep your favorite weapons, but scrap everything else. There's so many, the weapons are everywhere in the game. You don't really need to keep them. You can find miniguns relatively easy. You can't, a lot of them are leveled weapons, meaning that you need to be a certain level to use them. In this case, it's level 1. If you look on the right hand side there, but a lot of them you'll find a level 25, 30, 40. You're not going to be able to use them for a long time, so you might as well scrap them and get the mods, and you can find them later on in the game. But go ahead and scrap them. So if I go scrap them, look on my top left corner, chances are we're going to see a random mod. It's very random, so it gives you sort of a random mod every now and then. Okay, so I've got no mods with those. Let me scrap these guys. There you go. So crafting item unlocked, precise recoil grip. So you want to collect all the weapons so you can actually get mods from these guys. And they are random mods, so just whatever you find, just scrap them, and then you'll get a lot of mods. So when you're actually crafting weapons later in the game, you'll have some mods for your game. It takes a long time to get some decent mods, but the more higher level enemies you kill, if you get some legendary mods and things like that. But there's no reason to keep guns. You can either craft them, or you can use them to actually get mods from them, right? Now, I started off doing a melee build, so you know, I recommend you just get some strength points, focus on melee, and then if you want to get into guns, you'll be able to find guns. But scrap this guy. It's another bruising full stock mod there. So I find melee is a lot easier to do. The problem with melee, of course, is if you're over encumbered, then it's a lot harder to kill enemies. Sometimes you have to use guns. So I used melee or melee weapons until I was like level 5, and then I found guns were easier to use. And then when I got to like level 10, I found guns were kind of harder to use, so I went back to melee again. So it really depends on the situation. You're probably going to use both. You want to keep both handy. So, you know, you can decide what weapon is best to you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the camp. I'm not going to go too much into it. I do have some videos about camp building, but you can pretty much place your camp anywhere. But I just want to show you, talk about a couple of things quickly if I can. Yeah, there's my camp here. So your camp acts as a stash box. So if you look at this, you don't have to build a stash box. It's helpful to other players if you have a stash box at your camp, because they can come and when they look at your stash box, they are looking at theirs. So don't worry if somebody's in your stash box. They're just looking at their inventory. No one can steal anything from your stash. It's yours, but it's a shared. Think of it as a shared stash box. All the players can access the same stash, but whenever they look at it, they see their stash, right? So don't worry about it if you see people in your camp using your benches. I like to build workbenches and stashes and beds. So if players happen to wander in on my camp, they can use them, they can sleep, they can heal themselves, they can craft weapons, whatever they need to do. Some people like to lock their doors and stuff, but there's no real reason to. So you know, if you're building stuff, so stash is one thing. The other thing you can do now, I had a building here, but unfortunately I'm unable to place it, so I'm gonna have to find a flat piece of ground. But this is the building that I had here, sitting at this location before, and I was able to place it. But there's some floating issue that it's not allowing me to place. I'm gonna probably head over to the golf course. There's some object that's clashing with, so I can't actually place it here again. But I had this building here, so people could just use it for their own benefit. But I'm probably going to have to find another place or rebuild it somewhere, which I wanted to do anyway, because I want to find a mineral deposit and I want to harvest some of that. But just kind of things to note, anything under your stored tab, if you look at the top, stored, anything there uses your budget. So just if you're going to build 10 walls and you're not using them, scrap those walls, don't keep them there. It's going to chew through a budget. Your budget's really small. You're able to build a relatively decent sized house with a bunch of stuff, but you'll notice if you're building turrets, each turret uses like 10% of your budget. So you don't be very careful on how many turrets you build. I mean, I have sort of like 4 or 5. Use them sparingly, and you decide what you want to build and that. The other thing you can do is create a blueprint of your building. What you do is if once you built your building, you push A on the next box, or X I think it is, to create a blueprint. Then you hit right LB and you point it to a separate piece on your building, and it will select your entire building and you can create blueprints. Now I believe also blueprints use up budget, so don't just create random blueprints, because I think they do actually chew through your budget as well. But there's not too many flat areas, but there are flat areas. You just have to find them, or if you want to build on the mountain, like I say, find a mineral deposit. I think that's best, because then you can harvest a mineral, whether it's copper or iron or whatever. I found them all over the place. You'll run into them. You'll know what I mean when you see them. They'll say something like iron deposit. If you build your camp near one of those, you will then have a option under the resources tab. I don't have that. Actually, there is something there. There's a fertilizer. There's a fertilizer producer. So you may need to find plans before you can do that. I just didn't think you would need plans, but I guess maybe you do actually need plans. Now, when you take over workshops and you do the quest, you will get plans. So just keep on doing those. Each workshop you take over, I think they give you some plans. Do the events. The events give you plans. So I think that's pretty much it that I can think of. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you're going to figure out. There's a lot of places to explore. You know, let me talk a little bit about power armor. Power armor is really easy to get in the game. The main locations are this train yard, if I can find it here. This train yard, it spawns here all the time. There's actually 2 power armors. There's one at the train yard, which is called the Morgantown train yard. If you don't find it, it's kind of in one of the cars at the back. It's not obvious. It's just standing there. Once you climb into that, it probably have some high level pieces. Remove those pieces off of the power armor, climb in it. Once you've climbed into it, it belongs to you. No one can take it. You can leave it. Once you walk away from it, it will be recalled back into your inventory. It takes up 10 pounds of space. What you want to do is, to save weight, is put those pieces back on. So climb out of the power armor, put those pieces back on, let it grab recall the power armor, and you'll save at least 20 to 30 pounds by just leaving those pieces on your frame. You can carry power armor on you in your back pocket. Even just the frame without any pieces will give you an extra 10 strength. It's a lot of resistance, a lot of damage. It'll allow you to do additional damage if you're running around in thing. Fusion cores last a lot longer. There's a glitch at the moment. If you're in your power armor and you log out and you join a different session, it'll recharge your fusion core. Plus, you're going to find, just like Fallout 4, you're going to find locations where you can you'll find fusion cores randomly. They are very heavy, so you don't want to have too much at a time. So you don't want to go have 100 fusion cores because they each weigh 3 pounds, and they're just going to, so unless you're just walking around encumbered and you don't care, it doesn't matter at that point. But once you get to about 4 times your carry weight, you will slow down excessively, like in Fallout 4. At the moment, it's sort of manageable if it's under the 4 times limit, I think. But if you're carrying too much, you will slow down excessively. You do slow down, but it's kind of, you can kind of walk around and your AP recharges, and it's kind of annoying. But you know, once you slow down considerably, then you can't really even move. So there are 2 locations for power armor. There's one over here, and just underneath it, by I think it's called Mama something. There's an event that happens somewhere around here. There's another warehouse with some power armor in it. You can check there. I've also found power armor Grafton. It's one of the workshops. I don't think it was this far. I don't think I've actually been this far yet. So far. Like I said, do join events. I can't actually find. There's a workshop out here somewhere. Oh, it might be Grafton name. Here we go. So this workshop up here is Grafton Steel. So if you actually hover over the workshops, it'll tell you what it will produce. In this case, there's some food harvesters, some lead harvesters. Steel is the main one because I think it's the highest. It is very difficult, this one, because you get attacked by Anglos and super mutants, and it's heavily guarded by super mutants, so to take it in the first place requires a lot of work. But down here there's like another little super mutant place. It has about 5 super mutant. There's some power armor over there. Also in the Poseidon energy plant, which is quite tricky. You need a rad suit and you need lots of rad away. But down here, if you ever come down to Poseidon, you can actually make fusion cores. Plus, right at the bottom of the basement, it's very confusing. I actually got lost. It took me hours. I was just looting the place like crazy. But eventually you'll find a room if you go far enough, and you'll find some power armor in there. Probably pretty great guaranteed, because I think it's difficult to actually get to the bottom. But do take lots of radics. There'll be a lot of radiation. You can actually find a radiation suit at the top of this place. There's some videos on it. Just Google. You should find some. So if you can get a radaway suit prior to going to the bottom, I recommend it. Otherwise, take a lot of food, a lot of water, because you're going to be stuck in there and you're going to be healing yourself the whole time in certain rooms. But a lot of loot. You can spend hours in there. There's some power armor. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. You'll find some plans. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. Just take it slow. Enjoy the game. You know, there's a lot to see. Even though the map doesn't look like there's a lot, or it's not that big, there's just a ton of places to see that hasn't yet shown up. There are towers, like if you're familiar with Assassin's Creed, you climb to the top of the towers. and it allows you to activate the area around those towers, and it'll even more points of interest will show up. So you'll find these towers. So go to the top of these towers. They look like wooden towers for rangers. There's just various things that they kind of look like this guy over here. Not this one though, but it might even be one of them. Who knows? But you'll be able to find a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, if we look up here, like it's probably this guy, yeah, relay tower. No, let's just we go back to this guy, yeah. So this is the Pioneer Scout Camp, and there's a lookout tower which you climb up, which I believe it's this guy, and it'll highlight points of interest around the area. If you did find that this helpful, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, by all means, ask them. There's a Reddit, subreddit that has people asking questions. Just asking that Reddit. People are very helpful in the most part. So just enjoy the game. Thanks for